M. Night Shyamalan's 14th film called Old has hit cinemas this past weekend, hitting the #1 spot at the box office. So how does this movie rank up with M. Night Shyamalan's other crazy movies in his filmography, and how does it live up to the very chilling and interesting trailer? Let's hop on over to the review. How we doing, film fans? This is Let's Be Real with Brad. So today on the channel, I give my spoiler-free review of the new horror thriller M. Night Shyamalan film called Old. Old is a movie that I have been very much excited to see because I had no idea what the quality of this movie was going to be. And I got even more excited for it as I have gone through and watched every single Shyamalan film. Now going into Old, I was very curious of how it was going to be, and I have to say, I did like this movie a lot more after sitting on it for a couple days, because I saw this movie Thursday night and I was going to review it straight away, but I couldn't stop thinking about this movie. So now that I've done all the research on it, I have to say that I thought this was an average, mediocre movie, because there are many things that I do like about this movie that I think happens more in the first two acts, but that third act really brings this movie down quite hard, and we will get into every single aspect of it spoiler free, of course. So let's start off with the positives first, and we're gonna start with the premise. The premise is what you came to the cinema for. That's why you bought a ticket, is because of the premise, and you wanted to see what was going to happen with these people on this beach becoming old. Like, where is the twist? Where is this movie going to mislead us? And I do think that pretty much most of the movie does keep you invested as you go along through. I do think M. Night did a really good job of always leaving us invested as the audience of what was going to happen next, but also providing this allegory to the movie about aging and how people are scared of aging and at such a fast rate. But I think this movie also has that allegory of how time just passes through so fast. So the next positive I want to go into is the great use of this adaptation of Sandcastle. There's an article that explains the difference between Old and Sandcastle that this movie is based off of, and I'm so glad that I was able to read this, because I do feel like my enjoyment of this movie did go up, because this movie is essentially based off of the graphic novel and pretty much using most of the characters and different ideas and the concept itself in the movie. But what I think M. Night Shyamalan did so well is do a lot of changes from that original graphic novel that I will not get into, as I will leave a link down below to that website if you want to check it out for yourself. My second positive is the cinematography. The cinematography is really good in this movie, as I felt like the look and the atmosphere of this movie was so clean cut, and I felt like it added this creepy, dark atmosphere to the film. And my next positive with this movie is the deep horror aspect. As much as this movie didn't necessarily scare me or get under my skin as a psychological horror thriller film, which is my kind of favorite horror genre, I do think that there are many aspects of this movie that did make me think about aging and death and how we deal with grief and family members and how time just changes us and we don't even think about it, like in a blink of an eye. I think there was a great concept that he was able to use in this movie and utilize it as much as he possibly could. So let's get into my many negatives I have with this movie, and we're going to start with the third act / twist. I am not going to mention anything about the twist or hint at anything that could happen with this twist because it is a spoiler-free review, but I do want to say that the essence of this twist could have worked. Like, the twist itself, if you broke it down on paper, is not a bad idea, but the way that they execute it in the movie was so clumsily put in with so much exposition, and it just came out of nowhere that I had more questions than answers. And it wasn't those good kind of questions that you see in a Marvel film of trying to explain, oh, what's going to happen in the next one. I was genuinely confused, and it actually made parts of what we watched already in the first two acts not very good, and it was so disappointing because it felt like that M. Night was trying to go for a twist this entire time instead of focusing on this great allegory movie that he was doing so well with. My next negative with the movie is the bad acting. I know this might be a very controversial take because I have no idea what anyone thinks about the acting, because it's something that people haven't really been talking about, but I found the acting to be really bad in this movie. The entire time I felt like people were just trying to act like they were trying to be these characters, but they weren't the characters. And my third negative with this movie is the horror. As a whole, this movie tries to get under your skin and trying to scare you with this great concept and idea, and I think at times it does work, but this movie feels like it just meanders for so long, and then when so many things do happen all at once, it's just people die here and people die here and just craziness ensues. It doesn't feel like it would be something that, well, I don't know, feel all that interesting to watch, as it feels like that we don't know these characters all into depth. So then when things do happen, you kind of just don't care what's happening, and that doesn't make you scared as an audience. So overall, guys, Old is a movie that I completely hated after I watched the movie, but after doing some research and hearing some other people's thoughts about it, this is an okay, average, mediocre movie that I think if I watched it again in the right setting, I think I would have liked this movie a lot more than I had originally seen it. There is some good aspects to this movie with some of the concepts and cinematography, but I do think that the third act is quite terrible, and I think it will ruin many audiences' experiences and expectations they have with this movie. So I'm going to be giving Old a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys all for watching, and I hope you guys hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to, and ring that notification bell so you never get to miss a new video.